Senior Superintendent Renito Adams has his own cure for Jamaica's crime epidemic. When a group of youths suspected of killing a police officer were tracked to a small house in Braden, just outside Kingston, he and his men went in through the front door. A few minutes later, all the suspects in the house were dead, as well as a friend of the suspects used by the police as a decoy, a passerby, and a neighbor who had come to see what was going on. 7 young men in all, most of them teenagers. 6 of the 7 had been shot in the head, 4 from behind. Before they were killed, a journalist living nearby heard the boys pleading for mercy. The Braden killings took place in mid-March, but the case has only just reached the coroner's court. Meanwhile, Supt Adams is still at his post, and last week was at the center of a new storm raised by the police killing of 21 more civilians, many of them innocent bystanders, during a shootout with gangs in West Kingston. To many Jamaicans, however, Renito de Cordova Adams is a hero. The island is crippled by gang violence, and its people are tired of being afraid in their own homes in a country which is fast becoming more famous for its murder rate than its reggae music and beach resorts. They are looking for radical solutions. Supt Adams is Kingston's Dirty Harry, a dark angel of street justice and retribution. He is part of the reason the Jamaican police are the deadliest in the world, according to Amnesty International, killing more civilians ahead than any other force. He is an unnerving presence, tall and thin, with a severe back and sides haircut and dark glasses that accentuate an impassive stare. He wears a threadbare brown waistcoat over a patterned shirt, in shabby contrast to the blue uniformed guards with automatic rifles who surround him. You always talk about the police killing people. What about the criminals killing people? What about my men getting killed? He said. He speaks in a permanently hoarse voice, marginally louder than a whisper. Don't you think we've had enough? But as the funerals of the latest casualties of an Adams operation began at the weekend, Jamaicans were re-examining their Faustian deal with the Ask Questions Later school of policing. Supt Adams is also a man for Tony Blair to ponder. Britain is providing a £3 million police training project, and in January it lifted a ban on gun deliveries to the Jamaican Constabulary Force JCF, originally imposed because of its abysmal human rights record. By the time Mr. Blair visits the island at the end of this month, the JCF says, it will have a shopping list of equipment to present. Meanwhile, human rights activists will urge the British government to use its aid to persuade Kingston to get rid of Supt Adams once and for all. He leaves a trail of death behind him, said Carolyn Gomes, chairwoman of the Watchdog Jamaicans for Justice. He's a dangerous, violent man. According to his account of the Braden raid, members of his crime management unit CMU came under fire as they approached a small stone house. They returned fire from outside, and by the time they gained control of the house, all 7 suspects lay dead. Independent investigations have told a different story. Witnesses said that at least some of the suspects were alive when the police captured them. An independent post-mortem sponsored by Amnesty International found 38 bullet holes in the 7 corpses, including 15 head wounds. There were no bullet marks in nearby walls or trees to support the police claim that there had been heavy fire from the house. It was Supt Adams, too, who led the CMU into West Kingston before dawn on Saturday, July 7th, on the weapons search that started the latest bloodletting. He said he came under fire from local gangs and his men were forced to shoot back. Witnesses agree that shots were fired from the Warren Valleys in Tivoli Gardens, a slum loyal to the opposition Labour Party, but they said the CMU response was to open fire indiscriminately. The squad commandeered a disused building in Coronation Market, from where they poured fire into the streets. A local restaurant owner told The Guardian, they couldn't reach the gunman in Tivoli Gardens, so they just shot at people passing by, and the vendors. One man was trying to lock his place when the police shot him. Someone went to try to help him and he was shot as well. Television footage of the incident shows a policeman sticking a gun over a wall and letting off rounds without looking, and the casualty list suggests victims caught in a random hail of gunfire. Among the first was a bag lady known locally as Mother Bundle, and an old homeless man known as Bobby, who made a few dollars selling scrap metal. Also killed were a security guard on his way to work, a few market vendors and some early customers, many of them elderly. Supt Adams has an explanation. I saw old people being thrown out of houses to go to walk in front of the criminals as human shields. The old and sick, he told The Guardian. I know there were gunmen there. The people there have hidden the bodies. He was similarly unapologetic about the television pictures of his men shooting without aiming. It's practical and psychological, he said. When a policeman takes aim and fires, there are 100 of bullets coming back at him and he has to withdraw his head, but psychologically he has to keep firing to keep off the infidels. The British-funded Jamaican Constabulary Modernization Program is a 5-year scheme intended to prevent bloodbaths such as Brayton and Coronation Market. There is a course on ethics, but nothing specifically on the appropriate use of weaponry. Ms. Gomes believes it is better than nothing, but argues that real improvements require a change of heart at the very top of the island's politics. I worry tremendously about the difference between talk and action and the question of political will, she said. Such political will is scarce in Kingston at present. Inquiries into police killings are launched, but then customarily diverted to the Director of Public Prosecution's office, where they are shelved for months before being passed to the coroner's court. By the time, evidence has been lost and witnesses have changed their minds. We have a small favor to ask.